for Shane Warne. And he's done it.
We would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the lands on which we meet today and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people listening in.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Aussies Abroad on the B Sample Sports Network. Guys, and this week, all three of us are back. As you can see, three very happy faces here. As you guys know, we live in the ACT, and that is the coldest place on earth at the moment. Ness, how have you recovered from your weekend and the coldest day Canberra's ever had?
Yeah, thanks. I've missed you guys. Nice to be back. No, I did. I did a little bit. A week ago, I was sitting in a pool back home with my family, and today I'm in jumpers and contemplated a beanie for the show. So it's not great. Like it's meant to be summer. We're meant to be, chilling out in the beach, and well, not that we have a beach here, but at least chilling out in the sunshine. So yeah, I'm not really coping with this weather.
Bo, I sat there on Saturday night and watched your team win the first game of the season for the ACT League. Fantastic result for you guys, and it was cold and very, very wet. How did you feel after the game, mate? Have you thought out yet?
Yeah, mate, thought out. It, like you said, it was fucked. I had a miserable time. I'm a sook. I think I've spoken about that multiple times now. There's no joy in playing in that kind of weather. I hated it. I'd like to pretend it never happened and just pray that we get some fucking sun this weekend.
Very nice. All right, guys, let's talk about some news first up. Now, Bo, I know you sat up this morning and watched Australia win their first T20 world title. Our trophy cabinet is full. Once again, we've won everything that is to win now. We played the Kiwis in the final. New Zealand set the target of 172. It seemed a fairly reasonable target at the time, but Mitch Marsh and Davey Warner smashed their way through for an easy victory in the end. We won by 8 wickets, so I think with about 6 or 7 balls left to spare. I bagged Davey Warner at the start of the series, said he was no good, and Davey Warner comes out and wins man of the series. So he obviously watches the show and listens. Bo, did you get much sleep last night?
No, not at all, man. I am wrecked at the moment from getting up. I didn't manage to catch a whole game. I come in about the second over of us at the crease. And then was up after that watching the F1 and then up for the footy. So I am spent, but worth it. And good to see Davey Warner shut people like you down. Mitch Marsh, he's got enough haters as well. But they were outstanding. They played a good game of cricket. I was nervous as shit when I woke up and saw the score we were chasing, but the boys managed to get it done. Kind of easy in the end too, because they really slowed down. The run rate slowed down in the last 17, 18 over. Yeah. So we could have won with plenty more time to spare, but got it done.
Yeah, look, I personally didn't see it, but I hopped up this morning and caught the highlights on KO Nest. Did you happen to catch much of it?
No, I didn't get up for the cricket. I generally only hang around cricket games if I have to run them. So, but I did get up.
Ness was hungover still, be honest.
She was. That's exactly right.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that going on. No, but I did watch this one. It was actually awesome, but we'll talk about that a bit later.
Yeah. It's very nice for us to get a win over New Zealand. We always love to beat New Zealand. And once again, you will forever be in our shadow. So thank you very much to the All Blacks. And while we're talking about about New Zealand. The Irish beat the All Blacks in the rugby, and I know that's got nothing to do with the show. It's just a bad weekend for New Zealand, which is a good weekend for us. So congratulations to the Irish. In other news, the Socceroos had a terrible scoreless draw. I believe it was Thursday night last week in driving rain in Parramatta against the Saudis. The result didn't work in our favour. Japan won their game too. So Japan's just under us now in third on the table. And we play China on Wednesday morning at 2 a.m. It should be an easy win for us against China. But Ness, the pressure is starting to build on the team. They're kind of not the team that we thought they were, having won 11 games straight. We've now had a loss and a draw. There's about 4 or 5 games left. Are we in panic mode yet?
Yeah, and I think we are. I'm not really sure where it's sort of all gone downhill a little bit, because as you said, we had a massive record of wins and it started to unravel a little bit. So I don't know, were we getting a little bit cocky? I'm not sure, but look, hopefully we can get a win over China, and we've got some injuries as well that are plaguing us. So, but yeah, we absolutely missed an opportunity against Saudi Arabia. A 0-0 result is not what we needed.
I think this game against China is probably our last one of the year. I think there's 4 more next year, and we play the Saudis in Japan, the 2 teams either side of us, in about March and April. So that'll be when it really comes down to it. So if we can win these next couple of games against these average teams, I think we'll be okay. We're still in with a shot, and I think those games are at home here in Australia too. So with any luck, we'll sort of go about that the right way. Now, Bo, you sat here on the show a couple of weeks back and told us about a MotoGP2 rider named Remy Gardner, whose father is, of course, the famous Wayne Gardner. Now, he went on this morning to finish 10th and won his first ever MotoGP2 title. Mate, thank you very much for sort of guiding us in this direction first. How did you sort of find him? Because I haven't really watched too much of him.
Yeah, so I think this is 2 weeks in a row where I get a bit of credit what's not deserved. I need to give a shout out to my mate Josh, who is a big Moto GP fan, and he was the one that put it in my head and said, make sure you boys, boys and girls, sorry, talk about him on the show, because he thinks he's going to be a big dog, big superstar. So I didn't know a thing about him until my friend Josh, again, shout out to him, said to look into him, and here we are. So I've got to play honesty here. I can't get any of the credit. I've only watched highlights of the guy. I've not watched him come up at all. So, but he's done a job.
Yeah, fantastic result this morning. Hopefully Josh can put it up on the screen for us now. There was a scene, I'm not sure if it was this race or not. He was on the back wheel waving to the fans in the stand, probably doing about 120, 130. And I thought, I can't even do that on my push bike. This is ridiculous.
They're different. Hey, people that ride motorbikes are just, their head's a bit different.
Yeah, coming around those turns at speed with your handlebars like that far off the asphalt. No thanks, I'm good. But yeah, no. full credit to him. He's obviously been in his dad's shadow for heaps of years now, so hopefully he can do really well in the MotoGP next year, and we'll start talking about him instead. So very nice. Now, we spoke about a friend of the show, Dylan Alcott, a couple of weeks back. He won the Golden Slam this year, where you win all 4 titles and the gold medal in the same season. First athlete to ever do that. He's now retired from tennis. There is talk he's going to go into a bit of politics, but he's just been announced as the Victorian Australian of the Year. Now, us here in the ACT, big ups to him, thank you. Here in the ACT, we have named Paddy Mills, the Brooklyn Nets centre, power forward.
Point guard,
that one, thank you. Eventually.
I got you covered here.
Thank you, thanks, man. And we just named him as our Australian of the year. Ness, is there a much competition between these two? Who do you think gets the vote for Australian of the year come Australia Day next year?
I think it is hard to go past Dylan Alcott. There's not much that he hasn't achieved, but that said, Paddy Mills, if there's a second, I guess a runner-up, it's Paddy Mills every day of the week, isn't it? He's just an amazing Australian athlete and very deserving of that award. Certainly a great product of the ACT, but I think my vote has to go to Dylan Alcott, and I think a lot of people might share that opinion. How about you guys?
Yeah, I've got to agree with you, Ness. I think no disrespect to Paddy Mills. He's obviously a great athlete and has achieved so much, especially in a sport where not many Australians have. But what Dylan has done is, like Spinksy said, no one on the planet's done it. So he's special. He'll be in all the record books. Great guy as well. So I don't know if that gets any votes, but gets my vote. So
he's also he's created a festival. Now the name escapes me, but it's an all-inclusive festival. So it's designed for people in wheelchairs and with walkers and all that sort of stuff. And I think this might be the second or third year it's run now. So I think part of that was what he's been doing in the community as well. So he's not only a great sportsman and a great guy, he's a great advocate for it all too. So I'm sure it's a bit of a walk in the park. I don't even know who the other candidates are, but I'm sure it's his already. So big ups to him for winning already. So right,
it's done. Lock it in.
We saved the best one for last. Sorry, I've got two left. Tim Zhu, son of Kostya Zhu, fights on Wednesday night. He's fought a lot of Aussies over the last 12 to 18 months, and he really needs a big name now. He's gone over to Japan to fight a skinny Japanese-looking dude. This guy is tiny, and he will destroy him. Obviously, Japanese-looking dude because he's Japanese. Shut up. Right. He fights him on Wednesday night. I believe this is his stepping stone to the US. That's where you're going to make your money. We've spoken to Lucas on the show about him trying to get over to the States. This is where you make a name for yourself. So hopefully he gets the win on Wednesday night against a guy who looks half his size, to be honest with you. So good luck to Tim on Wednesday night. And the Wallabies got beaten by England, and no one likes to get beaten by England. Hopefully this is the last time this year. Eddie Jones, he's coaching the English, obviously, and they had a 32-15 win over the Aussies. We've gone down a couple of times now in our first two games over there. Did you guys happen to catch the Wallabies?
I saw roughly zero, so my job in putting on this. Okay, good.
We lost anyway, and we play Wales coming up soon. That's all the news we have this week. We're going to do good, bad, and ugly. Now, Ness, you weren't here last week, so you may have the honours.
Thanks, guys. It's nice to be back. You did a great job holding up the fort too. So well played.
I thought so.
My good this week is about the F1, and we've been talking about it a little bit. You kind of know I'm a bit of a fan of this sport at the moment, just a little bit. But really it's, I guess, linked to the fact that events are returning, and we've also spoken a lot about that. So it's great to see some form of normality. But a few weeks ago, I watched the Texan Grand Prix, and I remember telling you guys that I was having a friend over to do a morning breakfast. So that was epic. And then after that, I was really intrigued about just how many people tuned into that and how many people got to go. So 400,000 plus people attended that Grand Prix. Just like, that's phenomenal. That's the size of Canberra effectively going to one event. And when you think about the impact that COVID has had and the fact that 400,000 people are going to one motorsport race is phenomenal. But there were 1.2 million viewers as well across the US that tuned in for that. So it was actually the second most watched race ever. It was just huge. And, you know, just to see the amazing atmosphere that was on display. They're saying as well that Drive to Survive, which is obviously the Netflix series about the F1, has just made this sport skyrocket in terms of popularity. One of my really good friends that's also a bit invested in the F1 is saying, you know, after that show, she's now watching all the F1. So these shows really do work to get people in the sport, and maybe other sports need to look at it. But
Absolutely. I think that's how I got into it, actually. Like, that's my first stepping stone into it. So
yeah, and I probably am the same, Bo. Like, I think it was just I guess when you start to know some of their personalities and the stuff behind it, and I think also being new to the sport, I think they do an amazing job of trying to educate you about things. They talk about the strategy behind it, and that's all super fascinating. But if you don't understand it, it can be really confusing. I think they do a great job in educating rookies like me. So that was awesome. Then there was the Mexico Grand Prix straight after it. I was driving home to see my family. So for my 400-kilometer journey, it kept me awake, and I had it on KO while I was watching it until I lost reception. Pardon. So with like laps to go, it was phenomenal. And this morning in Brazil, so I was just reading a bit about it this morning. Brazil have had 610,000 deaths due to COVID, and it was really sketchy as to whether that event would actually go down in that country. So the fact that they were able to pull it off, they had record crowds again. Just an amazing achievement for what that event has done for that city, and just building community pride and to see everyone tuning in is phenomenal. So the F1's killing it. There's a hot race as well for the leaderboard is just hotly contested as well at the moment between Mercedes and Red Bull, and then we've got Ferrari and McLaren right behind. So
I saw that Hamilton's 14 points behind Verstappen, is it?
Yeah.
Verstappen. 2 races to go. 25 points for first and 17 for second. Does Hamilton catch him?
If he races like he did today.
Same, yeah, I'm with you, mate. Yeah.
I hope not as well. But the guy started last and finished first today, and was already halfway through the pack after 10 laps. Yeah. He's just killing. So he's a freak of nature. So
yeah.
That was because of a penalty, though, wasn't it? He had the quickest. I'm pretty sure he had the quickest qualifying time.
Yeah, he got disqualified in qualifying for something. I can't actually remember. Yeah, he did. So
some car modification.
Yeah.
Something or other.
Battery, maybe? I can't remember either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good stuff on the F1. The two of you will love this, but my bad this week is about the greatest NRL player and the love of my life, James Tedesco, who unfortunately had to say
nice.
Roosters captain and New South Wales Blues captain, who has been fined 10 grand by the NRL and has to undergo some training and education as a result of a racial slur. Look, not his finest hour.
I thought you were going to say it wasn't his fault.
No, well,
it was.
I don't know, it wasn't there, but it's a little out of character. However, it's something you'd expect from Radley, right? Or you'd expect from Latrell.
Wow, I'm calling racism.
Still giving it to Latrell. Wow.
Not his fault.
Past the Latrell thing.
Yeah.
We've all moved on.
No, we haven't. Never.
We'll move on.
No, we haven't.
Look, I guess the NRL had to make an example out of the situation. It obviously wasn't great. So this is what they've got to do. And he's a figurehead for the sport. So yeah, that is what it is. So not a great story to come out of the Chooks land today. My ugly this week is about Joe Ingles, and he's well regarded as one of the best, and certainly right up there with Paddy Mills as someone that's really achieved a lot in the sport of basketball. But he was evicted along with 3 others and has been fined and potentially faces suspension for shoving a ref in a game against the Indiana Pacers over the weekend. Ingles is married to Renee Hallinan, who's an ex-Vixen and one of probably the best Aussie Diamonds to ever have played the sport. So they do a lot for charity, and they have an autistic boy, and they're just constantly doing stuff to raise awareness for that. This is again something so out of character. There's so much being said about this situation, and for him to have acted in that way, something really bad must have been said on court. We obviously don't know. We're not hearing that, but super out of character, and I guess for that situation to have erupted. He was defending his mates, so at the end of the day, he shoved a ref, but he was defending his teammates. So I suppose, in some sense, that I don't know, Bo, you rush in and
I'm surprised Binksy hasn't chimed in, being with his hatred for refs as it is.
I was going to say, right, so that was supposed to be my ugly this week, and Ness said that Stuart, and I said that's fine, and you handled that way better than me. You've done your research, you did really well. I would have come on and went, goddamn referees in the way, it's bullshit. So that's why you're here. Thank you very much.
I like to be the voice of reason. I know I stole your ugly, and I'm sorry for that.
It's good.
No, my only other ugly is that I attempted to play golf this week with my nephew, and ugly doesn't quite describe my golf skills. God, it was fun, but yeah, I should never play golf.
Thinking about golf, did you sign up for stadium golf here in the ACT?
I'll be working. But
what the hell is stadium golf?
I'll be there. Yeah, we're in stadium golf.
Stadium golf?
Yeah.
Love this.
Is that like Top Golf?
Oh, it's not really like Top Golf, but
you take your shot from up in the stand onto the field, and you get like certain points there. So we got tickets for the Thursday night, but are there still tickets, or is it sold out?
Yeah, still tickets available, but selling very fast. Yeah. So tell all your mates. It's good fun. It's really good.
No, don't tell them. I want to get tickets.
I'll send you the link afterward, Dania.
Even spuds like me can play, so everyone should do it.
Might just delete this out of the pod so no one else knows.
No, that's good question.
Edit.
Very nice. Righto, Bo, what do you got for us this week, mate?
I've actually kind of got a similar layout as what Ness does with my good, bad, and ugly. And my good starts with the NRL, with me being a Newcastle Knights fan. Joey John's coming back to the Knights to help. What gets you more barred up than that as a Newcastle Knights supporter, with almost zero to look forward to, potentially losing Kalen Ponga? It looks like he might go to the Dolphins next year. And really not that there's not much good that comes out of being a Newcastle fan. It's year after year of just having your heart broken, but seeing Joey back with Newcastle, it's a match made in heaven. It brings back the memes, and I'm just a happy man again. So that's my good. What will it mean? Don't know, because Joey's kind of hoed himself out around the NRL. He's just helped about every team there is other than Newcastle.
He was with Manly. He was with the Dogs. He was helped the Dragons there at one stage. Yeah, he's been everywhere.
Yeah, Parramatta. Yeah. Everyone has decided he'll finally come home. So good on him. Nonetheless, I'm happy. My bad is, and we kind of touched on it before with my football, the ACT Gridiron. I took a step back this year, kind of just to help the kid that's playing quarterback, and playing in the rain, standing around for hours, and I'm just not used to not being on the field. It fucking sucks. I've got some learning to do on how, I don't know how people do that as a job. I'll stand here and watch, I suppose. Basically, I come out for a little bit, played a few downs, managed to throw the ball twice, and one was an interception. So maybe me being on the sideline is a good idea. But in the fucking weather, standing on the sideline, team got a win. That's all right. But as my greedy self that only cares about me, not good. Not my finest hour. Not the most enjoyable game of football. Sucks, but always got the win, and it's a little bit nice still being out there.
It was horrible on Saturday, mate. It was horrible. I remember sitting there with you in the stand, and the rain stopped at the end of the juniors game, and we thought, "Oh, this is good." All of a sudden, it came back, and it was cold, and it was dark, and it was nasty. It wasn't a nice way to start. Yeah.
You went to the other side of the earth as well to watch it, so
it was
credit to you.
Yeah.
Put our lives in danger, could I say?
It was deep south.
There's some interesting folk out that way.
There's some interesting folk down there.
Yeah. Well, I've got a second. The kid in the game did get hurt kind of bad. He was knocked out and lost feeling in his feet. So I've heard since that he's all right. But I've got a second. I hope that kid's going all right. And my ugly this week is watching the V8 supercars. So I don't know if anyone saw it. I'm kind of a team Red Bull guy. And over this weekend, there was 3 sprint races. And it's something you don't really see in sport very often, but we all kind of want it to happen, but we don't see it. And it's 2 teammates going head to head and fighting as far as in a race car. And I think it was race 2 or 3. Jamie Whincup and Van Gisberg were into each other. They touched a little bit in race 1. Race 2 or 3, whichever one it was, you see them just nearly take each other out multiple times, 2 or 3 laps to go. It's just something you don't see in sport. And it does, I think motorsport kind of has, it's where there's the biggest chance of 2 teammates kind of fucking it up for each other. I don't think you really see it in too many other sports, but when it's the team I'm wanting to win and Team Red Bull, and you see them nearly take each other out at the end of the race while they're in 2nd and 3rd position, not really what you want to see, but somewhat entertaining in saying that.
And there is Whincup team owner or part owner or something going into next year? Because I heard him.
You're breaking up. Can't hear you next question.
You know.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I heard that he's got next year. He's got a big stake in it. So I think he's racing harder now because next year he can't race as hard because he owns part of it.
Yeah, we did talk about that, but
it'll cost him.
I can't imagine Red Bull being cheap to buy into. That'd have to be the most expensive.
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
I mean, even Mark Skaife, when he retired, he took a small percentage of HRT.
Yes,
and I think he's had a lot more success than Jamie Whincup.
Definitely would have. Yeah, that's one to keep an eye on because I think Bathurst is coming up in about 2 weeks' time. I think it's the first week in December, so we'll be touching on that. I love a good Bathurst weekend. It's usually on the weekend to my birthday, but it's not this year. Obviously, with COVID, they've moved it, so we'll be across Bathurst when it's on, guys. I love you coming to Bathurst. And if you are going up to Bathurst, just calm yourselves down. There's 4 days or 5 days of it. You can't get drunk the first night because it doesn't work. Okay, experience here, right? Just go easy. Go easy. Yeah, Bathurst is wild. Righto. This week, my good is a guy named Ollie Hoskins. Now, Ollie Hoskins, he plays rugby for London Wasps. He's an Aussie over in the UK. The Wallabies had a couple of injuries leading into the game against England, and they called him up. And he made his debut for the Wallabies. Now, in the anthem, he's crying like a 5-year-old. He is just tears are streaming down his face. He's singing. He's got a smile on his face. His folks are there. His missus is there. He calls himself the biggest nerd ever. He plays Dungeons and Dragons all the time, and he is just a man mountain. This guy, you wouldn't say he's a nerd because he's just huge, but he just babbling and crying and it was so good to see some passion there. And yes, they got beaten. He came on in the second half, I think, for about 15, 20 odd minutes, but it was just so good to see what the jersey means for some people to wear. Whereas I think a lot of people take it for granted these days that they've had 20, 30, 40 odd games, whereas this might be the only game that he ever gets, and he would cherish that moment for the rest of his life. So big shout out to Ollie Hoskins, mate. I saw you crying and I loved it. So that was very good. My ugly this week is 30-year-old Carlton defender Liam Jones has retired from the AFL on $500,000 a season because he refuses to get the COVID jab. I work construction here in the ACT. In the ACT, it's not mandatory for us to get the jab for the work I do. The company I work for, it's not mandatory that we do, but we've now gone to work on a privately owned construction site owned by a very, very rich man here in Canberra, and he says we have to get the shot. So that's fine. I already have the shot. A few guys have been up in arms, but I'm not talking about $500,000 a season. I want a little bit under that, okay? But surely with 95% or whatever we're at now of the population getting it done, you can have the jab, mate, and still get paid. Like, he's probably got another 3 or 4 seasons in him. There's $2 million that you're leaving on the table because you don't want to get your shot. And each to their own. I understand. If you don't want to get it done, mate, that's your choice. But there'd be that many people lining up to be in your shoes to take the amount of money that you're on and the fame that you have, and you're walking away. Mate.
It brings up a really good point in sport of how much passion you actually have for the sport. That if even if you don't want the jab, if you really love whatever sport you're in, that should kind of be more important to you, I guess. But
yeah, I agree, man. Yeah.
Some of the sports come out pretty heavy to say that that's just how it has to be, and you do question whether he really wants to be. Obviously, doesn't want to be part of it. It's a hard one. It's not the sort of money you'd put down if you were anyone else.
And I think it's hard with the AFL too, because it's the only sport in the world. Whereas if you're with rugby league or the union and they say you have to get your shot in and you don't, maybe you can go to England or the US or whatever and have a game. Whereas I think AFL, obviously, there is no other league. So I think he's certainly shooting himself in the foot. I think this is the second guy now, but he's the most high profile. So I'm sure it won't be the last. So hopefully Carlton can find someone else to replace him, because Carlton have been shit since 1906. So shout out to Carlton.
Good riddance,
Shout out to Carlton.
Boys.
My ugly this week is Michael Slater once again. We touched on him a couple of weeks back. He was arrested for domestic violence against his partner. He has now claimed he wants to be tried under the Mental Health Act. He's obviously got mental health issues. He stalked his ex-partner for 18 months, physical, verbal, and textual harassment, if that's a word, sorry. And he's now gone to court, and the judge has said to him, judge virtually laughed in his face and said, I will not try you under the Mental Health Act. The judge thinks he's trying to get off this lightly, and for anyone to claim to have mental health issues that doesn't, I feel very sad for him and the path he's on at the moment. And I just think it's very ugly to see. He's back in court on the 23rd of December. Hopefully he gets the help that he needs, whether he's got the mental health issues or not, and we find out what's actually going on with him. So hopefully he's on the right path soon. So yes, but at the moment it's a very ugly situation, and hopefully it gets resolved. So yes, coming up over the next 4 or 5 days, we have some big stuff going on. UFC card on Sunday is massive. There's like 15 fights on the card. It's going to be huge. If you haven't got UFC pass, or you haven't got the ability to purchase it, get down to the pub, come to the Lighthouse on Sunday or something and watch the UFC. It'll be going off on Sunday. Tim Tszyu fights on Wednesday night. I'm sure the pubs will have that on 2 a.m. Wednesday morning is the Socceroos. Be sure to check out that. The local Tuggeranong Oval on Saturday night at 6 p.m. Bo's team takes on the Gungahlin Wolves, their first ever game in ACT comp, and they're looking for their first ever L. So good luck to Bo's team. And the WBBL is heating up. I believe there's only a couple of games left, Ness, before the final starts. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that's right. They're the Sixers, who I predicted would take it out, crapped themselves. And the Thunder as well haven't done very well. So it's looking like Strikers and Renegades and the Heat. So go the Heat.
Both of this Sydney teams seem to be tanking this year, hoping to get a first round draft pick next year. So we'll see what happens there.
One
yes, both.
one comment before we go. before we go, you did mention good luck to my team. This is our team. You're part of this, Spinks. See that?
That's it.
Come on.
That's what it's just. Yes.
You would have got a hoodie if you were there.
If you're there. That's what you get if you sit in the rain all night. Yeah.
Yeah, you did that.
Beautiful. All right, guys, thank you very much. It's very nice to have all three of us back again together. And we'll see you guys again next week. Hooroo.
Bye all.